and welcome to our first ever Board District 7 Purple Table Talks. We are so excited to kick off College Awareness Month with some of our counselors, administrators, experts in helping us all get ready for college. So I'm Tanya Ortiz-Franklin, your school board member for LA Unified Board District 7. I went to Columbia, go Lions, in the city of New York. And that was a huge part of why I chose that school. I loved getting to go 3,000 miles away from home, experience something totally new and different, and then come back home for the rest of my life. We'll turn to Dee.
All right, I'm Dee Watts, the Chief of Staff for Board Member Tanya Ortiz-Franklin, and I attended initially UC San Diego and then transferred to Cal State Dominguez Hills where I graduated. But I chose UC San Diego because it was the prettiest campus out of the UCs that I had seen, not necessarily the best reason.
To Marilyn.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marilyn Alvarez. I am the Family and Community Engagement Manager for Board District 7 and Ms. Tanya Ortiz-Franklin. I went to school, I grew up in South Central, South LA, and I went to school at Cal State Northridge. And the reason why I went there was my parents did not want me to go away anywhere. And that was the school most furthest away that I cut in from South LA. And that was a compromise that I would go, and it was okay for me to leave home and go to the dorms. But it was close enough that I would come home every weekend. And so that was the compromise that I had with my parents. And that's why I ended up choosing Cal State Northridge for undergrad.
Good morning, everyone. I am the communications coordinator and for board member Tanya Ortiz-Franklin. And so I went first to community college, Cerritos College, and then transferred out to Cal State Dominguez Hills. So that's where I went.
We'll go to San Pedro High School. Ms. Crumlin.
Good morning. I am Petra Crumlin, assistant principal at San Pedro High School, and I attended Cal State University Long Beach. And what drew me to the school initially was actually my counselor recommended that I apply for one of their full scholarship programs. And so that's kind of how the school got on my radar. And then, I went and had a tour of the school, and I had been thinking about I had some other colleges in mind, but when I got on the campus, it just felt right. And so between how the campus actually felt and the scholarship and the fact that I knew they had a good reputation with teaching programs, I just felt like that was the right decision for me.
I love that. I feel like that's so true for a lot of people. That's part of my story, getting on the campus and you feel like it's a good fit. I looked at my mom's face and I was like, she thinks it's a good fit. So we're going to go with this one. Thanks for sharing. Ms. Ross?
Good morning. My name is Amy Ross. I'm the assistant principal at Dr. Richard A. Vladovic Harbor Teacher Preparation Academy. I wanted to go out of state and I wanted to go to the East Coast. I ended up choosing Northeastern University, which is in Boston. And just like everyone else said, as soon as I went on the campus, it felt like home. And even though I had gotten into more prestigious schools on the East Coast, that was the one that I knew was where I was going to flourish. So I chose that.
Love it. Thanks. Ms. Whittington.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on today's Purple Table Talk. My name is Maria Whittington, Assistant Principal over School Counseling at Dodson Middle School. So I went to University of California, Santa Barbara, Go Gauchos. And I chose this school because of my favorite AP English Language Arts teacher in the 11th grade. She went there and I pursued my career as a teacher just like her, and I taught that same course. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Let's go to my alma mater, Fleming Middle School.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I am Leticia Barrera. I am the assistant principal at Fleming Middle School over counseling. I am a proud alumni at Cal State University Dominguez Hills. And my story is very different. In high school and going through K through 12, I had no knowledge of what college was. And so I used to live in the vicinity of Cal State Dominguez, and I used to just walk around the campus. And, moving forward, I used to love the culture of the school. Luckily, in my late 20s, I met an outstanding mentor that taught me what college was. And in that format, had great belief in my capacity to learn. and I attended East LA Community College, transferred over to Cal State Dominguez Hills, fell in love with the culture of the school, and I made it my personal and professional goal to graduate from this institution, and I am a proud Toro.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And then we'll go to Fremont, Ms. Pena.
Good morning. I'm Brenda Pena, and I'm the college counselor at Fremont High School. So I attended Cal State San Bernardino, and I grew up in the Central Valley in a really small town in the middle of nowhere. And I was just ready for a change. And I had family that lived in San Bernardino. They opened their doors, and yeah, I ended up choosing San Bernardino. I ended up liking the South, and I stayed here in LA.
Nice. And last of our school team members, let's go to Neuwirth.
Hi, good morning. I'm Candace Dagnino. I'm the principal at Neuwirth Leadership Academy with the Alliance College Ready Public Schools Network. Actually, I went to 3 universities. I started my bachelor's at the University of Arizona, chose it because of the proximity to home. I was literally 20 minutes away from home, first in my family to go to college, so I really needed the proximity to family. And then I got brave and left after to pursue my master's in teaching at Johns Hopkins University on the East Coast, and I got my master's in school leadership at Harvard. So I definitely had dreams of going to Harvard since I was little. I think a lot of people might dream of like their wedding day and all like the princess feelings. I never did that. I never dreamt, I still haven't. I've dreamt of going to Harvard. I saw myself there, and I think I manifested it before manifesting was a thing. But I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to have had mentors like you all, and honestly, a parent who, while not having had the experience of her own, was very much insistent. It wasn't whether I was going, it was just where I was going. And so I really appreciated having that support. I was very fortunate in that way.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you all for sharing. And, it's interesting, even though, we have some diverse experiences, some community college, some out of state, some close to home, some taking some time in between. And I think that's important to share with our students and families, that there's not one path. And the more college stories they can hear, the more they can potentially see themselves in those stories. So thank you for starting by sharing your personal story. So I want to start with this question. When should students and families start thinking about college? I definitely think senior year is too late, but when do you all tell parents or students themselves to start thinking about it? And we'll just open it up to the group.
I don't mind going first because I started with this idea that I started thinking about it literally when I was like 7. I think that's my earliest memory of college forward planning. Though as a high school principal, it's really important for us to start as soon as 9th grade. But honestly, I tell families that they should start having conversations about it in middle school. Once there's some understanding of, what the trajectory might look like beyond high school, I think it's really important that the initial access point is just having the conversation, so that it's already setting a foundation for where the value of pursuit higher education is in the family, and then what access points it offers beyond graduation. But I think middle school is probably around the best time.
Which is why we invited some middle school folks here. Any agreement there?
So I'm going to chime in. I completely agree. My background, actually, I've started teaching in high school. I started my counseling career in high school, and this is my first time in middle school. And so I realized when I was doing college counseling during high school, sometimes it might be too late. And I realize now that in middle school, they do have to begin thinking about that in that secondary. However, another new part of my personal career is also being a mother. And when my now oldest, who's in middle school, when he graduated kinder, they came out in the little caps and gowns, and it was the cutest thing. But their school, they called them the class of whatever class it was, 2014, 2015. And then they started putting out all the different class graduations that class would be. And it just wowed me. So this idea that talking about the progression of school really does not end at high school. So talking about it as early as that age, that it's just a natural progression, that we're training them to pursue their career and college choices beyond this. So as early as really elementary, you can start introducing it. But I agree that really talking about the access points begins that secondary level of middle school.
I love that. I've done quite a few I've done quite a few graduation speeches, and my favorites are kinder because I definitely tell them, this is your first graduation of many. You'll have elementary and middle and high school and college and maybe master's and doctorate. And their eyes are like, what are you talking about? So it sounds like there's an earlier is better. Is it ever too late to start thinking about college?
Definitely not. Like my experience was that I did have a late start, learning about what college was and creating a career that I'm lucky to have at this moment. I think, unfortunately, a lot of our students are not engaged in understanding why they are learning and why they are growing in the elementary and transitioning over to high school and then post-secondary. Luckily, like I said, I agree with all of our colleagues here today. It's never too early to start. Elementary, definitely having that conversation, but the work really does start in middle school. Having students really understand like their work that they're doing now, and for families to truly understand why it's imperative for students in the middle school to discover like their interests, and then through e-choices select a school, a high school that's really going to engage them in growing in that interest of career, and hopefully creating a pipeline for any like communities, school, colleges, or universities. So definitely it's never too late. There's always situations, factors that impact many of our families, right? Situations, financial situations where unfortunately, at the end of their path of high school, they're not lucky enough to have that opportunity to attend to college, but it's never too late. I'm evidence of that. I mean, like I said, I didn't graduate till I was 30 with a family. And I fell in love with education. I fell in love with educating myself and growing and creating that culture right here at Fleming Middle School.
I love that. And maybe that's a bit of a plug for parents. If you're thinking about going back to school, it is never, ever too late. So I get this question a lot, like besides getting good grades, taking hard classes, and getting involved in extracurriculars, not stretching ourselves too thin, but showing we're well-rounded, what's the most important thing you tell students they should do to be college ready?
I'll answer that one. I think for me, it would be take advantage of your dual enrollment or early middle college program and get in and take a college class and see what that's all about, because you probably surprise yourself that it's something you can do and you have the skills you need and you can do it. So taking advantage of that opportunity.
I agree. And I would also say, like on a mindset side, just keeping doors and options open. We all change a lot. And so I think, a lot of times we're focused on one college or one career that we want to do. And it's really good to pick programs and courses that align with that. But then also being open-minded to, maybe apply to that second choice school. Or if you're not sure that you're going to go to a 4-year, set yourself up with Caesar better, so that you have all of the options, and so that everything is open to you instead of you've kind of put yourself into all your, hopes into one option.
I also recommend my students that they attend any college workshops that the campuses are having, or college fairs, learn about different majors, because there's so many majors out there that students aren't aware of. They always go with the basic ones, and there's a lot more out there. So just exposing themselves to, the different college cultures, any workshops, I find it really beneficial. Because like you said, sometimes you don't know if that's the campus until you're there in person, and you get that feeling like, yes, this is it.
A big component is financial literacy for students to really understand what's out there, scholarships, grants, financial aid. There's just so many opportunities for them to not use finances as an excuse, because there's just so many opportunities for our students to have understand that there's so much financial opportunity for them to obtain grants in order to attend college.
I love that. And that leads into my next question, which is what's the biggest mistake students make in their college planning? And that's one thing that I have noticed more recently is cutting themselves short because of the price tag of tuition, not knowing that there are a lot of schools that offer free tuition if your families make under a certain threshold. And they can be pretty high thresholds, like 80,000, 100,000. You can still get free tuition at a lot of the Ivy Leagues now, which wasn't the case when I was a kid, but definitely want to promote that now. What do you all think are some mistakes that students make in their college planning?
I think one of the mistakes is definitely saving the campus tours for their senior year spring semester. Because really there's so many tours, even if they can't, if it's an in-person tour is not feasible, there are virtual tours or just trying to go out there on their own, and talking to the adults around them, just like this, trying to find out from their teachers or coaches, where did you go to college? Oh, how come you liked it over there? And try to see if there's a campus tour or college tour coming up soon.
I agree, kind of along the same lines, just kind of waiting too long, procrastinating. So I think starting early, making lists, even in middle school, as freshmen of colleges you might be interested in, looking for scholarships, attending workshops. So just starting all of that early as opposed to saving it till senior year.
I think getting stuck on going to a big name university that has this prestige attached to it instead of picking a school that really aligns with your interests and not looking for those little schools and those private schools that offer a totally different experience that might better suit who you are and what you want to end up doing as a person.
Yeah, I think in making list early on of what you want to get out of your college experience and the activities you want to be able to participate in allows you to look for schools that meet your need as opposed to what others are saying about what your college experience should be.
What about biggest mistakes parents make in trying to help their kids get ready for college?
I can say I don't know that this is a mistake necessarily, just because I believe that parents are they're just being like precautionary. And I recognize too as a Latina, it's not necessarily like within our culture, like that we leave home right away or that we, go too far, right? And honestly, that was part of the reason why I stayed close to home. But I think that there has to be a moment of reflection and understanding on the parents' part, especially, and I say this as a child of immigrants, especially when parents have made such a big move from one country to another. I remind our families about that all the time, right? Like you made this very critical, life-changing choice, and now it's your child's turn to do that same thing. And while we should be sensitive to where they're at in terms of wanting to keep their families close and their kids close, it's really important that we don't cut off opportunities that could really be life-changing in the most positive ways, or even just I think a really good experience for young people, because of the fear of leaving, right? And giving them access then to understanding like the resources that are also out there for allowing our students to come back throughout the year during the school year, so that it doesn't feel like an entire school year that they're gone.
I think that as it relates to like families, I'm a first generation graduate, and my mom didn't really have the resources, right, to understand what school was. So therefore, I inherit that. I really didn't understand the concept of school. So I think having our families limit their capacity and knowledge of what it is to have a college pathway, right? I think it's imperative for our families to truly take advantage of all the workshops that all of our school sites are offering through our family and community center. What is your vision for yourself? What do you want to do? What type of career? And then for us to support that vision for the families. So definitely, bringing those resources to the families so that they can become active members of that collaboration with their children as to what does it look like for them after high school and post-secondary.
When I used to work with parents and helping parents help their students plan for college, sometimes the value, I think, it could be misplaced. So, for example, I would talk to parents that I would say, oh, I'm never getting a loan. Like, that's never something I want to do. But then, I would talk to them, well, how did you buy your car? Isn't your car a loan? Isn't your house a loan? Like, but that's not something that we would think twice. And in my family, it was like, you come of an age and then you get a car. That's just kind of what you do. And you get into this, 5 or 6 year, 7 year plan to repay it. And it loses its value as soon as you drive it out, right? And so with college, I would try to explain to parents, like, it doesn't lose value. You gain, right? As you, and it doesn't depreciate. And so I think sometimes also really the fear or feeling that intimidation of loans, really it's important to talk to parents about what the benefits is, and what's the alternative if a child does not pursue a college degree. So I think that was really something that I would try to emphasize a lot with parents.
One of the things I wonder too about parents is we often encourage kids and parents to be on the same page. Like, kids will want to go far away, but parents will want them to stay home. What about, do you ever experience parents not being on the same page? Like, my parents were not married, and my mom would say, it's your choice, you can do whatever you want. And my dad, I saw him every other weekend, wasn't as involved. And so when it came time to choose, I felt like, oh, it's my choice, I get to go where I want. That's what my mom has been telling me. But my dad actually ended up having to pay for more of it and didn't have as much of a say in where I went. So do you ever experience any like parent disagreement in coaching kids getting ready for college?
So I can chime in on that because personally I did as well. So I'm also a first generation college student. I migrated from the Philippines. My mom did graduate college in the Philippines. However, she didn't know how to navigate US education. And she assumed, oh, there's a community college down the street. You can go there. I'm like, no, but that's different. I can actually go to a university because I would eventually have to transfer, but she just could not wrap her head around that. And so helping other students that are similar, especially Asian American students who believe, no, the parents only knew about UCLA or Cal State Long Beach. So, and if they don't get in there, so they saw me as, oh, you actually moved away from home and that was okay. And you went to college. I'm like, yes. And I had this experience and that, and then I came back home, right? So you're able to go and come back and really have your own experience. So it was a lot of really talking to families and saying, it's okay to let them go this time because they will come back.
And if they don't, that's okay too. What a great job you did as parents, helping them be prepared for the world. I'm also a new mom, and so I can't imagine her leaving yet, but I hope I'll get there by the time she's 17, 18. I think this kind of leads into the next question around myth busting. So are there any myths? And if so, like, what's the biggest myth you're constantly busting about college?
So at Fremont, we have a lot of newcomer students, so a lot of undocumented students. And when I'm doing my college presentations, they're always shocked when I say that they can still apply to college. They're under the impression because they don't have a social, they're undocumented, that they can't apply. So that's one of my biggest myths here at Fremont. So when they learn that they can apply and there is help for them out there, that's like the biggest shocker.
Go California, financial support for undocumented students. What other myths are you all busting?
We are busting here at Fleming Middle School is students having that growth mindset and changing the fact that they believe that they're not smart enough. I can't tell you enough how much when we have those college conversations, they're like, but, I'm supposed to get a job after high school, or no, I'm barely making it, now, do I see myself going to college? And we're like, yes, absolutely. Right. So to like, the sky's the limit.
I'd say too, along those same lines, Ms. Barrera, I really appreciate you saying just like this idea that one, you're not good enough is such a myth, and really like an imposter syndrome piece too, right? But also I think that, at least I heard growing up in school, like, well, you better be prepared because in college, they're not going to do this. Your professors aren't going to do this. When in reality, there's a lot of support on campus, a lot. In fact, if you go and see your professor in person and you take time to take advantage of all the resources that are available, whether it's tutoring, additional support for people with different learning skills and needs. There is so much available on campus. That's just a part of your tuition. Like, you should take advantage of that. And there are a lot of safety nets for our students. And our kids can be successful. They can have setbacks. They can have setbacks in college and still be successful through their university career. So I think that it's important to stop, I think, putting fear into kids around, what's going to happen in college, but reminding them that they need to be really prepared to be self-advocates so they can ask for what they need because it's there.
I'm going to chime in because I'm really along those same lines. I think the biggest myth that I constantly busted while college counseling was it doesn't matter so much where you go to college, but it matters more what you do while you're in college. So many students put all their eggs in one basket just to go to the big name college, when really, it really matters how do you take advantage of the resources while you're in college? What do you do? Do you do any kind of research, internship, study abroad? And all those things can be done in any college. So really helping them find their own college to make a name for themselves, rather than just going to a big name college or applying only to the big names and not getting in.
I think also thinking that college is just about classes, and really that college experience is living in the dorm was probably the best experience ever I had in college. And living far away from home and growing as a person is so much more than what you actually learn in the classroom with the professor. And you can't do that ever again in your life. Like, you only get to live in the dorm once in your life. So if you can do it, you should take advantage of it.
That you have to know what you want to do when you get to college. And I think sometimes students feel like if they don't know what career they want or what they would want to major in, then they're not ready to go. And a lot of people either don't know what they want to do and they go undecided, or they think they know what they want to do, and it, based on the experiences that they have once they're at college, it opens up something totally different, and they change majors, and that's okay.
Even changing schools. I heard even just on this call, folks started at one school and then changed to another, whether it was a community college going to a 4-year or a 4-year to a 4-year. People take time off in between too to figure out what's going on in their own personal lives sometimes. So appreciate all the sensitivity to the challenges our students might experience. Okay, our last official question is, what is the #1 resource you direct families to? Whether they are your current students or something you wish middle or elementary school students or families started to pay attention to, like, where do you send them when they're like, what should I look at? Where should I start?
To make an appointment with the college counselor, and you don't have to be a senior to do it. You can be, a freshman, but just make an appointment for that one-on-one time where you can really, the counselor can kind of explore your goals with you and kind of look at where things might align, and kind of give you some jumping off points for more research and more college exploration fun.
I definitely agree with Ms. Crumlin. I mean, our academic counselors and A through G counselors are like my #1 source to refer our parents to. They're the experts. They're able to create those individualized graduation plans with them. Right now, they're working hard to ensure that, students are taking the right courses so that when they transition over to high school, those rigorous, they advocate for our kids, right? Because they want to prepare our students to be college and career ready and ready for the world.
When I used to work with parents in college access, one other resource that I thought was so important was other parents. So I had my, other parents who had just had a child go on to college and were maybe apprehensive at the beginning, and then ended up being like the biggest college access advocates and college advocates. And so I think that's really important to have a group of like-minded parents, or parents who have recently gone through that experience of helping their child go to college. And now, they're like experts in so many things. But they also remember how they felt possibly, and all those fears. I know I have a daughter that just started started college, and I've been leaning on some of the parents that I met at those orientations because I'm missing her. And I think it's always important to be able to do that for other parents, like talk to, you know, your other folks in your community, in your school community that have had the same experience as you have.
Into the resources that college might have is also an option for you. Many colleges have fly-in programs. If you can't get to their school, they might have an alumni chapter in your town. They might have someone who's willing to talk to you about their program and their college if you're not able to get there. But there's a lot of resources to learn about colleges from the college themselves. You have Google now, so we didn't have that when we were all applying.
Any other resources you point families to?
Yeah, I was about to say that I point them actually to Big Future. That's through the College Board. And so they have career quizzes and college quizzes and even scholarship match.
Awesome. Well, there's probably always more, particularly when it relates to your own child, because there's a lot of information out there, but how it fits and works for you and your family is definitely a personal experience. So just want to appreciate all of our school leaders for joining us today. Also feeling a little female power. Thank you. Board District 7 and all of your schools, your administrators, your counselors, your teachers are here for you as you go through this process. Let us know if this was helpful and what we can do better to serve you and your families as you make these big decisions. But everyone should hopefully know and feel supported that college is for you. College is for everyone. It's affordable, it's accessible, and you have a big team all across LA that wants to make sure that you can do your very best there. So thank you all so much.